Okay, I'm going to explain the process to check out a patient that we currently have in our office. So we have a specific way that we need to do for every single patient. So it's something part of the patient experience and make sure everybody does it the same way. So is a good workflow. So the whole process becomes smooth. So the first thing is the patient when it is released from the op. Obviously, the patient will be released from the op. The doctor and assistant has completed all the procedures, and now it's time for them to move to a different um, area in our practice. So, for example, for a new patient, if it's an adult, uh, most likely we'll see the treatment coordinator after the appointment. Our current protocol indicates that patients are being seen at the beginning and at the end of the appointment by the treatment coordinator. For current patients, if they're marked TC, there's a mark that we put on the appointments to indicate basically that the treatment coordinator will need to see them at the end of the appointment. They will have a little mark on the appointment called TC. Now, if that's the case, they will have to go most likely. Sometimes the treatment coordinator will come to the op after the appointment or sometimes the patient will go to the treatment coordinator's office to continue the conversation there. After that, the patient will go to the front desk for checkout. At this point, the front desk administrator will take over, will greet the patient and verify if there's any concerns regarding the appointment, make sure everything went okay. Just a quick question, just asking them how the appointment was, did everything went okay. Uh, it's always nice to provide to the patient. Most of the time they say everything went okay, but sometimes there's some patients that might say something that maybe we can help them before we continue through the checkout process. Um, Now at the front desk, we need to check a few things before we do any paperwork, make sure things have been done correctly before we do the full checkout for insurances and payments. So the first thing is we need to make sure the appointment has been completed, which means the doctor or hygienist has completed the appointment and is grayed out on the schedule. And then all the codes from the appointment will go to the account section to be basically billed to the insurance or to the patient. Uh, Make sure all codes are under the correct provider. If, for example, the patient saw Dr. Nurian, but obviously when you check them out, you notice that the codes are under Dr. Baghdadi. We need to correct that before we proceed. So, quick check, make sure all the codes are under the correct provider. That goes for doctors or hygienists. Um, the next thing you need to check is make sure the next treatment or hygiene appointment has been booked. Ideally, we want to make sure our patients live with an appointment. It could be a treatment or hygiene. Well, everybody should have a hygiene appointment booked, their next hygiene appointment, and ideally both if they need treatment, but at least one of them, because this will help us keep our schedule full and is easier to track patients if for some reason there's changes later on. So let's try to make sure we check if there was appointments booked and everything is okay. So you can also remind the patient, oh, I noticed that you have booked for your treatment on this day and for your hygiene on this other day. Or you can take the opportunity to tell them, oh, I noticed that you don't have your next treatment booked or you don't have your next hygiene booked. Maybe they did talk internally on the back, but for some reason they were not able to book it. And maybe you can help and convince the patient to book it. Sometimes when they hear from one, two, or three people, then the last person has the most opportunity to book those appointments. Anyways, give it a try and make sure they have at least one appointment booked. If not, try to book it if possible. Also, check if they have any other family members that they need appointments. Sometimes kids, sometimes their wife or their husband. You can ask. I noticed that your kids or your husband, your wife, does not have their next hygiene appointment and they're overdue. Would you like me to help you book them since you're here? Or maybe they will tell you. Maybe they will tell you no. Call the mother or call the father to book the appointments for the kids, or maybe just say call my wife or call my husband to book those appointments, or they will book it for them since they have the authority to do it. So it's always important to book their family members when you have the patient in front of you. Um, and if they don't want to book it, just maybe ask questions. Any specific reasons maybe you don't want to book? Maybe we can help them make the decision by answering their questions, and also make your notes why they don't want to book it, and communicate with everybody else the reasons. Also, it's very important. We need to check if the appointments that are currently booked, maybe they require a deposit. Right now, we require deposits if the appointment is over an hour. So it's very, very important to collect that deposit when the patient is right in front of you instead of calling them later to request this deposit that could be easily just collected when they were in the office. So it's very important to check our deposit policy, especially when for longer appointments or major treatment. Very, very important. Um, Another thing is to make sure they actually saw the treatment coordinator. If you notice the appointment had the TC label on it, just ask the patient, did you had a chance to speak with the treatment coordinator? They will tell you yes or no. If not, then you can quickly go to the treatment coordinator and let them know that the patient, for some reason, missed the meeting with the treatment coordinator at the end of the appointment, and the treatment coordinator will instruct you the reasons, or maybe will go and get the patient. Well, but it's very important for the treatment coordinator to tell you what's the next step. If just to let them go and continue, there's no need to speak with them or to bring them to the back again to speak with the treatment coordinator. So always check with the patient. After you do all those check-ins, you have to get used to it, checking this quickly and correctly. You can start submitting all the insurance information, the claims to the insurance companies, and also if they don't have insurance, you can print the walkout statements. That way, you can use also to present, what procedures were done to the patient, so they can pay for those procedures after. Everybody likes to know what's done before providing payment. So it's very important. So you submit all the insurance claims or print the walkout statements. After that, you need to also, ideally, you want to provide the welcome package to new patients, and balloons and toys, any of those things to the patient before you present the information about their insurance or the walkout statement, ideally, because sometimes this will help if there's any issues. So if there was anything that maybe the insurance was not covering, it will help maybe the conversation. They will be a little nicer, I will say, if there was some type of mistake, or maybe the insurance company, they just did not cover and we couldn't verify that. So I think if you provide this welcome package in the early stages, and balloons and toys for the kids, I think will be a little better conversation when it comes to money conversation. So after that, you can present the insurance claims or the walk statement, so they know what they're paying for. And right after that, you can collect payments. And always at this stage, you can ask, make sure you ask questions. If you have any questions regarding anything about the claims or the payments, make sure everything is very clear. And then the last step will be validate their parking ticket if they have a car. And also don't forget to provide instructions on how to exit the parking lot. If there's any issues, make sure they know they need to press the help button, um, so they can let them know that the parking ticket did not work for some reason, and to let them out, since we pay 100% for these tickets. And after we validate the ticket, basically that company is charging us money already. So if they pay to that company at the gate, basically this company is getting the money twice. And then obviously we do have an email if this happens, for the client to get reimbursed by this company. Okay. Any questions, please let me know about the patient checkout, but it's pretty straightforward and it's all about practicing, practicing, practicing. Thank you.